Oh hey, it's Wes. There. And today, it's time to talk about something a little bit new and different. It is this, the Falconeyes RX-18TDX 2. That's right, there was a number one, I didn't even know about it. So let's get right into it. The Falconeyes RX-18TDX 2 is a flat panel, soft, 100-watt video light. So what does that even mean? Well, let's turn it on. Here we have the panel set up in the softbox design with the included grid. And so, as it stands, this is looking fairly normal for a light. But as we get a little further into this, we're going to discover that there's hardly anything normal about this light. So let's start with the categories, starting with the build quality. This is a really tricky one to gauge because normally we're looking for a light to be solid and rigid and tough, but the whole point of this light is to not be any of those things, which is confusing. Let's take this apart and really have a look at that. Here we go. So we'll take off the softbox. There is a diffusion layer we can also put in there as well though. There we go. So here is our slightly silvered on the inside softbox with the grid, and that's all Velcroed in place, so that can be taken apart at will. And here we have the actual light panel. And let's turn that back on again so we can see it better, and maybe we'll turn it down a bit. There we go. Yeah, you can barely even tell that it's on, because this turns down really far. Okay, so now on the back here, let's have a look at this. We have this X shape to help it to keep its shape. Let's take that off as well. These just pull out like so. And then I can all fold up reasonably flat like this. And then this actually comes off, the whole elbow assembly. So it all comes apart pretty easily. Which leaves us with this spooky lighting. Sorry, I'll turn that down even further. All right, this is the dimmest it goes. This is 1%, which is pretty nice. I'm not really sure what the purpose of going this dim would be, but it goes that dim. So here we have the heart of the product itself. We have what appears to be a vinyl clear layer with, as you can see, the LEDs underneath. Let's change our temperature so that we can see some more of them light up there. Like a lot of bicolored lights, we shift between a 5600K LED and a 3000K LED. And we have on the back another vinyl layer with our power coming in. It's clamped down here. And we have some rigid corners that I believe that the first version didn't have. So this keeps it reasonably tough on the edges to hold it up. And it's designed to roll up, but only a certain amount. The plastics here, especially right around where the power comes in, this feels a little bit dicey, almost a little arbitrary how far this is glued down. Now this is supposed to actually be waterproof to 30 meters. Stick around, maybe we'll test that a little bit later. You got the Velcro for attaching the soft boxes, and so this is pretty much our whole product here. Now there's also the power brick here, not the power brick, sorry, the control brick. This is huge, largely metal, very sturdy, has a very solid LCD cover. This all feels reasonably good here. And then we come out with some mini DMX outputs. This is all very hard, solid stuff. We have a metal cable to hang it off of things. So nothing too bad, a little generic. And then we have a huge power brick, also normal stuff. So altogether, everything seems to be as robust as it could be for this particular application. Now the packaging did, however, come with a warning to not roll it up any tighter than this package that it comes with. So you can't get confused by how much you're supposed to roll it up. You roll it up until it fits inside this. But that implies that if you roll this any further, it is going to break. I'm not going to try to break it unless it breaks when I get it wet. Then I guess I'm trying to break it, but not yet. And so altogether, it feels a little cheaply constructed, but that cheapness could easily be explained as coming from a place of making it soft, foldable, and waterproof. So I'm going to give this overall a 7 out of 10 for build quality. Feature set. Well, we've already talked about the main feature, soft and waterproof. We've got 100 watts of total power. We can go from 3000K to 5600K. The waterproof rating is actually specifically IPX8, so no dust, but up to 30 meters. You've got DMX control on the control box here. You can also mount a V-mount battery on this. It also comes with a clamp that you can insert into a second V-mount bracket right here, so you can clamp it to a pole instead of just hanging it from a pole. There is no Bluetooth app control, which is becoming much more prevalent these days for pretty much everything. And there's obviously no way of mounting this to like a Bowens modifier or something like that. So you are limited by just, this is how big the light is. You can make it a softbox or not if you want, but this is what it is. And what it is 17 by 23 inches or 45 by 60 centimeters. There are bigger and smaller versions of this that you can get. It goes all the way up to 121 by 121 centimeters. That is a big panel. You've got the adjustable color balance. You have the scene control, which we haven't played with because nothing surprising there. The fires, the lightning, TV, stuff like that. Obviously, you can't do police lights because it's only a white balance control panel. So I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10 for features because we don't have color and we don't have Bluetooth control. Light quality, this comes in at about 95 CRI, which used to be great, but it's not the best anymore. We have some lights that go to 96, 97 these days with LED. Undiffused, you still have a pretty wide panel of lights, but you will get a little bit of shadow splitting because they're not diffused. And I find this a little bit weird because Falconeyes is the company that brought us these round lights first. And if you're not familiar with these, they come in many sizes. This is one of their smallest ones. They go huge, but these are super thin panels. And Falconeyes knows how to take this panel and diffuse it so you cannot tell where the light's coming from in here. They are very good at thin diffusion, but they don't use any of that here. Maybe it can't be made in a flexible manner, but thin diffusion can be done, but it's not being done here. Now, if you did do thin diffusion, you would be losing some light, so there is a trade-off there. So they're letting you choose, but if you want to diffuse it, you got to put that softbox on and then mount the diffusion panel in the front of the softbox, which is going to lose you a stop of light. More or less unchangeable, but you can choose the size that will give you the kind of light you want. So for the lack of versatility and just being like 1 CRI below what the maximum is these days, I'm gonna give that an 8 out of 10 for light quality. So usability. And this is what it really comes down to. You have this new form factor. The whole point is to make it more usable for some circumstances. And does it? Unfortunately, I have to say no. In some ways, this makes it less durable than a typical cylindrical light. So let's see here. Here is the Godox ML60. So this is a 60 watt light. Obviously, it's a lot smaller. Okay, not enough power though. So here we have a 150 watt light, FV150. It's this big. You will notice that if I took this softbox and this light, I could fit them both inside this bag once I've collapsed them. So in that case, we're not earning any extra packability for this. We can't fold it any smaller than this. So it's always going to take up this much space no matter what. Unless you flat pack it, in which case there are no mounting points on this. So you have to at least bring this X bracket, which takes up more space. So I kind of wish there was an easier way of hanging this without mounting all the extra accessories on it. So then it would be at least a little bit more versatile there. Now it does, however, have to get extra points just for being waterproof. This can be used in situations where other lights could never be used. None of these other lights are even remotely waterproof. You just get a little bit of water on this, it will destroy your light. That is a bonus point for that. However, we lose these bonus points immediately because here's our control brick, and here is our power brick. Let's do our peels for the first time here. Beautiful. That is a lot of bricking going on. And I have to say, I feel like these power supplies are way bigger than they need to be. Now this is actually a 134 watt power supply, but this, all this does is control it and distribute the power. But it's already getting DC power, so there's not that much to do. Now this can be radio controlled remotely, and it can have a V-mount battery mounted on it, so there's some stuff going on here, but this thing is enormous, especially given the fact that it only handles about 100 watts of power. There's just too much going on here in my opinion. We're going to lose a point for all the extra dirty danglers going on here, if you watch Gerald. Now the most useful way of using this light is as the most completely excessive video conferencing light. It's extremely slim, so it can fit behind your desk in any sort of situation, and it allows your teeny tiny little webcam to capture a bit more light. And if you want to go crazy, you can obviously use your big old mirrorless camera. Here I'm using the Viltrox 24 1.8 full frame lens on the A7 III. That's usually what I use for video conferencing. I just plug it into my computer using this handy dandy little HDMI to USB converter, 20 bucks. Link in the description. So unless you really want to spend big to have a teleconference or a Zoom meeting where you look like the best guy in the room, I don't know that this is really worth it. Now again, we're looking at very specific use cases here. And in some use cases, this is going to be your only option, honestly. So overall, for usability, I'm giving that a 7 out of 10. Not a win-win, but potentially a big win, depending on what you need it for. Value. This one's complicated. The closest thing to this is the old Godox FL100. Very close to this, honestly. It's a soft panel, not waterproof, way squishier design, clearly made to be much cheaper than this. Already discontinued. You can still get it in some places though. It was $400. So this one is clearly a value winner against that because it is better constructed than that model was. However, you can get flat lights from Falconeyes. There is one that's about the same size as this, but round, the 68TDX Mark II. It's only 68 watts though. That's $430, same price as this. Not quite as much power, but it's already diffused. And then there is their 100 watt version, which is 108 centimeters wide. It's a big old round light. That is $686. So not that much more, huge light, 100 watts. And then there are the studio square panels, just typically used for production, the cheapest of which would be the Godox 1000C. That gives you full color control, 43 centimeters square, that's $320. So it's less than this, and it's 1,000 watts of power, which is kind of crazy. And then what would be the more typical thing for this size is the big studio panels. And most of those, you're looking at $1,000 or more. So you've got stuff like the Aperture Nova P300C, and the cheapest I could find, which was 100 watts, about the same as this, the Light Panels Astra 6X, which is about the same size as this, is $1,000. So overall, if you're looking for a panel of light that is large, this is actually still a decent value. Just the question is this what you need? So overall, the value for this is a 9 out of 10. It's a lot of light for your money. A lot of light for your money. But remember I said we were going to test this to see how waterproof it is? Let's go have a look. expecting. Chrono's photo. Warm. Go take some photos.